I encountered Games for Change, the organization, and really was surprised and excited when I found out how many funders, companies, NGOs, nonprofits were already in the sector looking to make games. I had no idea that games were such a pervasive, huge industry. So the number of people playing games is tremendous. The opportunity is tremendous in terms of taking issues and meeting people kind of where they are. So whether they're playing Facebook games or mobile games, what's happening is that games have become so pervasive and that the barrier to entry to being a player and a consumer and an audience member has come down so dramatically that the opportunity to engage people through social impact games is on the rise. People are encountering games in different ways. So obviously younger generations, kids some of them actually have games in school as part of their curriculum. There's a school here in New York that's been the focus of a New York Times cover article called Quest to Learn in New York City Public School, which uses games as and game systems as a way of teaching kids as a system of learning. So I think that there are lots of opportunities in terms of individuals looking to do innovative new ways of engaging people. We're inundated with media, and the more you can kind of engage people, capture their imagination, you stand a better chance of getting them to know what your issues are. Games for Change was founded in 2004, and at that time there wasn't really this language of Games for Change. We're now seeing it. So in our own Google alerts on the organization, things that have nothing to do with us, we will something that maybe Jane McGonigal is talking about or other people in the community, it will come up. Game for Change. So we're excited that people are, kind of adopting this language, this nomenclature about games which basically have two purposes. They are used to entertain and engage people, but they're also really about socially relevant, pressing issues. That can be as light or as heavy as the game designer has chosen to make it. But Games for Change is an organization and really looks to kind of raise an entire sector. The fact that there are many different kinds of games that are dealing with direct impact, so games being produced in India and Tanzania and Kenya in local languages that are specifically targeting women in those communities and constituencies, that's really exciting for us. We were nominated for a Tech Award, and one of the things that we've kind of put forward is that Games for Change is an organization that is elevating all social impact games. So the fact that you have nonprofits that are looking to meet game designers, they want to understand how to make a better and more efficient, impactful game. Sometimes those two sectors don't necessarily speak the same language. So people who are making games, people who are consuming games, people who are looking to engage around specific issues, Games for Change frequently serves as a kind of network, bridging those different communities and constituencies in person through our festival, which happens here in New York in June, and also online. We have a very vibrant community worldwide. There's Games for Change here. Obviously, it's the home turf. Korea, which has been up and running for about 2-3 years. We have a new effort underway in Sao Paulo in Brazil and in France. The big buzz right now, obviously, are Facebook games. So there are Facebook games and mobile games are kind of the two trends that we're seeing a lot of nonprofits, NGOs interested in exploring. These are tricky platforms, though, right? Because there's a lot of games. There aren't necessarily publishers of Facebook games. So you launch a game, you need to sustain that game. So a lot of nonprofits need to think really in a smart way about how they're going to keep their game going, how they're going to bring audiences to the game, how unique it feels. We get approached by businesses all the time, actually. It could be from the corporate social responsibility side of things. They're interested in kind of the deep connections that people have around certain issues, so whether they care about the environment, let's say, or human rights. They're looking to connect, potentially by helping to support a game. So there's a couple of games that are coming out. There's a game that's actually just launched, a Facebook game called Ecotopia, that I know has some VC money behind it. But it's interesting because one of the things that we're seeing is that there's much more private investors going into the gaming space, the social impact gaming space, and that's kind of new. So it had been traditionally that a lot of foundations were really funding these games, or maybe private individuals, private donors. But there are companies and investors looking at the space as well. Well, it's interesting. We do some consulting with different organizations, and one of our clients is the World Bank. So in one of the sessions with the World Bank Institute, what they were, they're doing a series of games, and some of their games are about reform managers, for example. So if you are doing a public works project, it might be more interesting to do a kind of simulation through a game to get the people that you're trying to really think long and hard about some of the issues on the ground in terms of building a road or a railroad or whatever it is that you're doing, to really think through how the participants in that community might engage with this project. And by doing it as a game, it just brings a whole other level of engagement to the whole thing. We're very positive about the future. I mean, we feel like this is a young sector. There's already quite a number of participants in it. There's some very large NGOs, nonprofits. There's some interesting spokespeople. We're seeing with the Half the Sky project, just the level of interest. So I think we're very, very optimistic in terms of where we think the power is in terms of people connecting through games.